Hey guys, Pastor Brian here. I'm here on Project 37. The I Will Foundation, been talking to Dr. Jesse on some of the amazing stuff they do here. Guys, I believe that God's calling us to get involved. You're going to hear a little bit more about it, but this is amazing stuff what they're doing. Let's be a part.
So the story gets better. So now I got my little John Deere tractor. I'm out there with my little bucket moving, I guess, a spoonful at a time. We're moving it around, right? There's a guy drives by. He has a Bobcat. He says, "What year you plan on finish leveling all that dirt off?" And I was like, well, I don't know.
It's on you.
Right. So then he says, okay. So he comes out and he pulls his Bobcat off and he starts leveling and then he stops for a breakaway. He says, "Tell me what you do again." I was like, well, trying to do a farm, trying to help people out. So he works a little while longer. He's doing like 5 times, 10 times faster than I can do with my little John Deere. And so he levels it all off. He says, he sits down like we're sitting down now. He says, "Tell me what you're doing now." And then he turned around and says, "I tell you what, just pay me for my gas." So that's why I say a lot of times it's just the way that God just works. Yeah, and then people walk up, like we built all this with John Deere tractor. I just get out here because I believe faith without works is dead. So I just get out here and start praying and get to moving and just.
People donate like materials and stuff, or
Yeah, we tell them donate whatever. If it's a
like you want to get solar, like is that
right, we ask people, we get a price up, and then like all the mulch, all the rocks, we tell people like mulch. They say, "Hey, how can we do it? I don't have much." I say, "Can you give me 2 bags of mulch?" And we just stack it up in the corner. When people come out, we say, "Hey, we got mulch. Let's put the mulch out." So we just keep going little bit by little bit, like that metal that you guys put up last time. That metal was left over from a hurricane that somebody had in their backyard. I say, "Well, bring it on." I said, "Well, matter of fact, I'll come get it. Don't worry about bringing it to me. I'll go and get it." And we just stack it up and we just keep waiting. Now it used to be really bad because everything anybody would donate, I would pile it up and say, "I'll use that one day. I'll use that one day," and it just all comes together. Like the aquaponic system, that's all God. You look at it, the guy, he looked at it the earlier days like, "Man, that's a lot of pipes going on over there." But then when he looked at it, he says, "Wow, how'd you come up with that?" God. And I tell you the joke that when I was building the barn over there was an older lady. She came by and she says, "What made you think that you can build this like this?" I said, "Well, my father was a carpenter." And she said, "Why couldn't I do it?" So, it's just been moving step by step. That was the vision here. I'm glad God didn't give me the vision in the beginning because it probably would have scared me. Yeah, because this was an old Connex that somebody donated. We put it there, and this was like, and I'll show you like pictures, just a Connex, and everybody would lean against the Connex to keep from the sun, and we just kept going from there. Yeah.
That's really cool. So I think this could be a good local, even just local kind of mission, spot for our men because they can build houses. We have so many contractors retired.
Right.
There's guys who love building, being a part of something that has purpose, like this place.
Right.
And
No.
just be able to help and
Yeah, that would be really awesome.
We have a lot of guys that need something to do.
Well, and the thing about it is,
so like what happens after this? Like, are you doing stuff outside of this?
we are, but
You guys have bobcats, machines.
Wow.
Like,
Well, the thing about it is, it's these young men that I'm really focused on, and there's a lot, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but Lee Health has a lot of these young men in there because they think it's something mentally wrong with them, and they're sitting down on the couches, and I was sharing with you yesterday, I don't ask the standard questions. I reverse the questions because they know exactly how to answer the question. It says, "Okay, let me move on." But it's more men out there, young men that need more men in their lives. And they love to work. I bring them out here. They're like, "Yes, sir, yes, sir." They're running, they're moving, but these kids have been arrested and everything else. They just need male influence in their life. Like Jaquez, if you know how the Forge works, Jaquez is mine. Jaquez's father is in prison. His mother died at birth, and he has 2 85-year-old grandparents that's taking care of him. So he was my discipleship that I take on, and I work with him and take him out to dinner and stuff like that. But there's more Jaquez's out there, and if you have the supply for the men, we have the need for men to come in, and even in their regular day jobs, if they are doing the Bobcats, just to open their minds up and show them that there's other ways. Right, and it's not necessarily that they do drugs and do those things on purpose. It's just they have no guidance. And so it's left to the world to tell them the direction to go in. Correct. And it's not that they don't want to do anything else. It's just they don't know anything else. And I always have to be careful. People say, "Well, they're bad." No, they're not bad. They're misguided. Because I will tell you that they come in, they're the most respectful young men. We have no trouble out of them. And I'm like, and I look, I'm like, how did you get in trouble? I mean, what's the issue here? And then the sad part is now that they're calling it a mental illness when it's really not. It's not. Right, and now you're going to get them on depressants and all that kind of stuff, and and they know the drill. They know the walkway that they're doing. So I'm glad that Lee Health is now referring them to us, because it's not a problem. But I think the more we're able to do one-on-one with them, I think we can really change a generation. And they want to work, because you ask people now, people don't want to work, and I figured out why. They were never taught to work. So now as adults, you want them to work. Like, well, I don't know how to work, because they weren't taught as young men to work. Exactly. So that's kind of like we look at the workforce, look at the unskilled labor. Like I was looking at your son, hey, come on, do a power tool. My dad, man, I use rusted nail, bent nails, whatever. I'm working, figuring something out how to get in trouble with. I got in more trouble for breaking stuff than fixing stuff, But I think that's lost now. But that gave me a work ethic. It's not necessarily what life is gives you, it's what you make out of life. And that's something that they got to look at. Like I look at something and say, I think I can make that work. Other people look at it and says, what am I supposed to do with that? Well, let me show you what you can do with it. And so just having the men come out and having to share their stories and spend the time with them, and they'll probably find some diamonds in the rough.
So what would that look like practically? Like once a month, once a couple times a month?
Whatever you can do. Whatever you can do. They come every other Tuesday to me. They come every other Tuesday.
Twice a month.
Yeah, they come twice a month. Right. And we take
On Tuesday?
on Tuesdays. But if we need to move it to greater the impact, we can move it to a different night to greater the impact. We're flexible, because just like volunteers, you ask about volunteer, come anytime. But if we got a group of men that's going to come in, and because there's 3 or 4 different foster care homes that want to get into the program, like, hey, I'm not into numbers. I'm into quality. I said, we got 10 in there. It's 2 or 3 of us show up every Tuesday, every other Tuesday. That's all we can handle, because if you turn around and get too big of a group and you don't have enough men there, then that's the problem. And then the only thing I ask the men to do is, I say, do the one thing that's lacking in your life that I'm going to ask you to do. I would rather you never show up, but if you do show up, be consistent. Because that's the one thing that if all of a sudden they get attached to you and then life happens and then you go away, and what has happened is that rebounds and say, everybody does this to me, and it's harder each time for them to get closer to you, because there's not a, right, because they rebound back and say, yep, you're just like my dad. You came and you left. Yeah, exactly. So that's the only thing I say. I'd rather for you not to show up, and then we tell the kids, okay, we're going to do this in 9-week blocks. So therefore, at the end of 9 weeks, if you say you can't do it, say, hey, we're only doing this for 9 weeks. We got a finish line. And if we cross the finish line, then okay. If he doesn't come back after the 9 weeks, okay. But at least commit for 9 weeks. And that way we say, well, he did say he honored his word. And that's what we tell him. I always tell him your last name means something to you. And that means your word means something. So if you commit to 9 weeks, commit to 9 weeks. We're going to commit to it. You commit to it.
I wonder if it's something, I'm just throwing out there, maybe we start in the summertime when our Cape men done, and then maybe what happens is maybe we start taking these men to Cape Men on Tuesday.
Absolutely, absolutely. Exactly.
Off Tuesdays, we come here, we go there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That way it's another phase in plan. I think that's great.
I'm so glad that you're here and you're here. Cause,
right.
I would get the information and pass it over, but we get to hear it together, because I want to be a part of it and help, so I can help with that.
Well, it is, it's a men's
Whether it's a group, but, something.
And I'm telling you, you'll be amazed at these young men when you hear their story. Some of their stuff is greater than what I've experienced in all my life. Like, I'm just looking at them like, whoa, okay, wow.
How are you standing up?
But I tell them, you're destined to be something great if you live through that. God has a plan for you because you made it through it. You just don't realize it yet.
Man, we appreciate